it's not about presumptions. You have actually laundered a lot of Zionist talking points, and you never asked the tough question. You ask the tough question now when it is fashionable.
So why do I get so many Zionists telling me the complete opposite? But I think you're somebody who is so blindly hateful of all things Israel that you'll even promote a conspiracy theory, which is obvious nonsense. No, I think there's merit to the Hannibal Directive story.
Oh, there's merit.
Yeah, but I think you're completely
because I remember you making fun of me and you're telling me, you showing me just a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, unlike you, Bassem,
so now are you changing your mind?
My views of things evolve when I see new information. It's called being a journalist.
Okay, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and watch this. Because what you're about to see is one of the most unfiltered, unscripted, completely unexpected debates I have ever witnessed on live television. This is Bassem Youssef, Egypt's most famous comedian, a man who was literally forced out of his own country for speaking his mind, sitting across from Piers, one of the most experienced interviewers on the planet. Now Piers thought he was going to walk Bassem into a corner. He thought he was going to pin him down, make him look irresponsible, and move on. That is not what happened. Watch Piers' face from the very first question. Because the moment he opens his mouth, this whole thing goes sideways immediately.
So Bassem, just to be clear, who committed the hit job on Charlie Kirk?
I don't know, but I find it very interesting that Netanyahu, Prime Minister of a country, went around the TV shows making sure that we didn't kill. I mean, this is like a very weird position.
So are you suggesting Israel did?
Have you ever? No, I'm not suggesting.
But you are suggesting that, aren't you?
Because the FBI is lying to us. The FBI has been lying to us.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you an example.
But why don't you be honest in the way you always want everybody else to be honest? Why don't you be honest and admit that when you say Charlie Kirk's murder was clearly a hit job, and then you start talking immediately about Netanyahu denying it was him, that you believe, or you want people to think?
I have doubts.
You want people to think it may be an Israel hit job.
I have doubts. Because, I mean, look at the facts.
Why on earth would it be an Israel hit job? We know who it was.
I am not sure. I don't know. Well, another patsy, 22 years old, jerking off in his mom's basement. I mean, another like Trump. I mean, here's the thing. The FBI actually has been lying to us. They have been covering for, they told us about the Epstein file, which is Israel is clearly involved. And then they said there's no Epstein file. Israel has been holding 98% of the Congress hostage, either with money or blackmail. And you cannot dispute that. And actually, if you want to dispute that, here's a little case for you. In that last month, a guy by the name of Tom Alexandrovich, he was the head of cybersecurity in Netanyahu's government, right? And this guy, he's not a random guy. He's part of the Netanyahu government. And he was caught in Nevada in a FBI sting child sex operation, trying to lure a 15 years old minor. That guy was protected by the DA, who's Israeli, by the way, in Nevada, and he went on the plane and he missed his trial. Now, you come to me and you tell me all of these things, when people are raving about Israeli Mossad and how they're infiltrating, and then suddenly we have to believe that they're innocent. I mean, not a single mainstream outlet talk about Tom Alexandrovich. So now you have pedophiles coming into our country.
Actually, I've read that story. I've read that story on multiple mainstream media outlets.
No, not a single one. Go to ChatGPT right now. And
I'm very familiar with that story.
No. Yeah, you have seen them on Young Turks. You have seen them on Breaking Points. You have seen them on those independent media outlets. You have seen them on podcasts.
I've read it on The Guardian.
Yeah, The Guardian. I'm talking about American mainstream, right? American mainstream. Not a single comedian in late night show even discussed this. So the question is, when you have this cover up by the FBI, when the FBI let a pedophile from Israel flies back to Israel, while also Israel is known to be holding the biggest number of pedophiles escaping from justice, having refuge there. All of these things, doesn't make you what the hell? This is a whole cover up.
Well, it does, but then it does, Bassem. But then when I see you say Charlie Kirk's murder was clearly a hit job and you imply it's Israel, I think you've lost your mind.
Maybe I did. I lost my mind when I told you about the Hannibal Directive, and then I came.
No, I think there's merit to the Hannibal Directive story.
Oh, there's merit.
Yeah, but I think you're completely.
Because I remember you making fun of me, and you're telling me you're showing me just a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, unlike you, Bassem.
So now you're changing your mind.
My views of things evolve when I see new information. It's called being a journalist.
Wait. Stop everything. Did Piers Morgan just admit there is merit to something he previously laughed off? On his own show? while Bassem is sitting right there watching him say it? Because Bassem noticed it immediately. You can see it on his face. He's like, "Are you serious right now? You made fun of me for this exact thing. And now suddenly there's merit?" This is one of the most underrated moments in this entire clip. Because what Bassem is pointing out is deeply human. People change their positions when it becomes safe or fashionable to do so. And Bassem is calling that out directly, right to Piers' face, with absolutely zero politeness about it. Piers tries to recover by saying his views evolve with new information, which is fair, but the timing of it sitting right across from the guy you were dismissing before. That is uncomfortable to watch, and Bassem is not letting him off the hook for a single second.
Really? Why don't you do your job as a journalist and actually talk
what
about
you
the
mean
animal
is,
directive
why don't I
in
smear?
there?
What you would like me to do as a journalist is only focus on anti-Israel stuff, and that's fine.
No,
That's what
I'm
you
not.
want to do.
No, no. I'm saying that you're not asking the right questions because you.
Well, maybe you're a
many
better
times-
journalist than I am. Then.
No. I'm not a better. Like I'm just like a real normal guy looking in the internet. But let me ask you a question. You always talk about hostages, and then Israel goes to Qatar and bomb that negotiating team about hostages.
Yeah.
While you, for 2 years,
Yeah.
you were always like, what about the hostages? What about the hostages? At this point, and here's my like.
Why don't you ask me what
I
I think of that? Given I've literally interviewed today Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon about the attack in Doha.
About time.
Well, why don't you ask me what I think first before you make? No, Bassem, I'm sorry. Before you make presumptions about what I think about it, why don't you ask me what I think about it?
It's not about presumptions. You have actually laundered a lot of Zionist talking points, and you never asked the tough question. You ask the tough question now when it is fashionable.
So why do I get so many Zionists telling me the complete opposite?
Yeah. Well, they do that to everybody. It's like they do that. Like, I mean, they even talk. They even called like Biden and Trump.
But what is your point about the strike in Doha? You don't think I'm against that?
No, I'm not talking about them against that. I'm talking about you always put like the hostages front and center.
Yeah.
Right. And we have told you many times, Piers, for 2 years, it's never about the hostages. It's never about the hostages. But you would put people, what about the hostages? And we told you, Netanyahu doesn't care about the hostages. We told you from different the sources from the Israeli government, it's not about the hostages.
They should be released, right, Bassem? They should be released.
Yeah, they should release. But it doesn't matter if you have 50 hostages or 20 hostages. You don't decimate a whole country, a whole people.
But I agree.
Like, it's not. It is not an excuse.
I agree with you.
Here's the thing. My question for
Bassem, I agree with you.
Here is something people completely miss when they watch this clip. They actually agree on more than they disagree on. Piers just said I agree with you 3 times in a row. 3 times. But it still feels like an all-out war. Why? Because this debate stopped being about facts a long time ago. Now it is purely about trust. Bassem doesn't trust Piers. Piers doesn't trust Bassem's methods. And when 2 people don't trust each other, it doesn't matter how many times they agree. It still feels like a fight. That right there is one of the most honest things about this whole exchange. And I genuinely don't think either of them even realized it was happening.
Why should you even take Israel for any word that it said, right? They lied about not targeting civilians. They lied about not targeting doctors, women, children, building. They lied about the intention not to displace people in Gaza, and they're doing it. They lied about being like everybody's.
I don't think you've watched my show for a while, have you, Bassem? Because otherwise you would know that if you would watch my show, you would know that one of the Bassem, if I may respond, you would know if you'd watched my show for the last few months that one of my biggest criticisms is Israel's refusal to allow international media into Gaza to independently verify what's been going on. Because my strong suspicion is that when they finally get in there, they will find a lot of evidence of war crimes. I've said that very loudly and clearly.
I'm sorry, Piers. The Israeli soldiers, they film on TikTok their war crimes and they put it on the word. Do you? I'm sorry. Anybody who knows anything about an army, any army in the world, know that army is all about this. Those people are not going around with their mobile phone shooting this and putting out unless the army is letting them. Because I don't think the British army or the French army or the Egyptian army or the American army will allow their soldiers shooting this and putting there unless there is some sort of unwritten rules like, show them what we can do. This is not just like a bunch of.
But I've called that stuff out, as you know, or maybe you don't know.
Yeah,
I said it's totally wrong. The trouble is, Bassem, it's never enough for you. You see, it doesn't matter how critical journalists are about Israel. It will never be enough for you because you want the right to suggest that Charlie Kirk was the subject of a hit job by Israel. You want the world to think that. That's why you said what you said, and that's why when I asked you, you went, Netanyahu says it wasn't him.
By the way, I'm not even the only one. People are actually. Here's the thing: if you continue lying to your people, right? I'll tell you what. Let's call me a conspiracy theorist, right?
Yeah.
Call me someone who is illogical. Call me whatever you want. If your government continues to lie to you consistently, this is where conspiracy theorists thrive. If you're not transparent,
But why do you want to be one of them?
If you want to cover up, no. I'm not saying I'm one of them.
Why float a mad conspiracy theory about Israel?
Because it's the internet, and I'm a comedian.
Okay, but it's not that funny, though, is it?
Actually, a lot of people thought it was very funny.
You have millions, I'm sure we did, but millions of people follow you, and you want them to think that Israel was behind the murder of Charlie Kirk. And you call me an ill-informed, irresponsible journalist.
Yeah, because I'm not a journalist. I'm a comedian. Remember, I'm a clown. I
don't think you're a clown.
That's what I do. Oh, I'm a clown. Actually, I'm a comedian. Comedians are actually overpaid.
But I think you're somebody who is so blindly hateful of all things Israel that you'll even promote a conspiracy theory, which is obvious nonsense, that they have something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder.
I'm not blindly hateful of Israel. I'm actually eyes wide open hateful of Israel.
Sure.
Okay, stop the video. Did he actually just say that out loud? Piers called him blindly hateful. And instead of denying it, instead of softening it, instead of doing what literally every other guest would do and walking it back, Bassem looked Piers dead in the eye and said no. Not blindly. Eyes. Wide. Open. I have watched a lot of debates. A lot. And I genuinely cannot remember the last time I saw someone take an accusation like that and just completely own it. Without flinching, without blinking, without even a pause. The studio went quiet. Piers went quiet. Because what do you even say to that? There is no comeback. There is no follow-up question that lands after a line like that. That is a full-stop moment. And that right there is exactly why this clip went absolutely everywhere. Because love him or hate him, you have never in your life seen someone respond to Piers Morgan like that.
But unfortunately, what it's done is driven you to promote conspiracy theories about their potential involvement in Charlie Kirk's murder.
Promoting. I just released a video today, and I told them, you need to give us better lives. I didn't even mention that Israel. I said, like, this is a hit job. It was a hit job. Whether it was like a...
You inferred it was Israel, and when I asked you about it, you went on a little rant about Netanyahu. Everyone can see it for what it is.
No. Okay. So call me a conspiracy theorist.
So, what just happened? What you just watched was not really a debate about one topic. It was a collision between two completely different worldviews, a veteran journalist who believes in working within the system to ask hard questions, and a comedian who believes the system itself is the problem. Neither of them convinced the other. Neither of them was going to. But that is not actually the point of conversations like this. The point is that it forces you, sitting at home watching, to actually think, to decide where you stand, to ask yourself which parts made you uncomfortable and why. Because the most valuable debates are not the ones where someone wins. They're the ones where you walk away thinking differently than when you sat down. Did Bassem go too far? Did Piers not go far enough? That is for you to decide. Drop your honest opinion in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you think after watching this. If this video made you think, hit that like button. It actually helps more people find this conversation. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this, and I'll see you in the next one.